G'day covers, welcome back to the bush. Actually, Matt's carport again today. In this video we're checking out the brand new to the market 25 amp DC to DC charger from King's with solar input. Let's get into it. First up, let's have a chat about DC to DC chargers and why you might need one in your setup. Now, most modern cars drop the voltage of the alternator once the battery reaches a certain state of charge to lessen the draw on the engine and therefore save fuel and lessen emissions. So that's fine for day-to-day running, but when you try to charge an accessory battery, well, you're not going to get any charge into that battery. So that's when a DC to DC charger will come in handy for you. What it does is it can boost up the voltage from the battery voltage when your alternator isn't charging much and actually provide charge to those accessory batteries. And don't forget, this one's got solar input. Let's have a chat about the solar. So there's two main types of solar controllers. Now there's PWM or pulse width modulation, or MPPT, which is maximum power point tracking. Now I'm not going to get into the details of how each individual one works. Suffice to say, the PWM is the old school and the MPPT is more efficient, new school one, and this one actually contains an MPPT 25 amp solar controller, and it will prioritize the charge according to how much solar input you have at the time. So if you're driving along at night time, well, you're getting no solar, and this will charge exclusively from the alternator. But if you're driving down the Newell in the middle of the day and there's plenty of solar coming from your panels on your roof, well, it'll prioritize the solar charge to your accessory battery as opposed to your alternator, and it'll save you the next time you go to the Bowser. And emissions, of course, which is an important thing. So let's have a look at the installation. So as part of the installation, we need to crimp the connectors onto the wires. Now, unfortunately, I left my crimper over an hour away from where I am here at Maddie's house. But what we do have is the mighty high lift jack. Now, if you haven't seen anything about high lift jack and want to know something about winching or perhaps how to use them out in the bush, or the modifications you should do, check the link up above, watch the playlist, and there's plenty of information about high lift jack. So what we're going to do, now this one's just for our mate John, who's an instructor of mine. We're going to use a high lift jack as a crimper tool. We've already put the heat shrink on there, and that's a very important step, otherwise you'll forget it. And we've already cut and stripped back this bit here on the end of the wire, and we just place it in the middle there, line it all up. Now of course I've got Matty operating the handle, and when you're ready, Matt, can you please oh, just a second, line him up, then crimp away. And that'll do. Beauty. Now just reverse it, get the tension taken off. Thanks, Matt. So now we've got a crimp connection. All we need to do now, of course, is put our heat shrink over the top and grab our blowtorch and give it a bit of a haircut. Now don't get me wrong, I would have preferred to use a crimper, but unfortunately my crimper's not here. And Matt came up with the idea of using a high lift, which that was my idea. I'll claim credit for it later, Matt, thanks mate. And we've got a successfully crimp connection, which is nice and solid. We can bolt down to our negative onto the body. Okay, on with the installation. Okay, so here's your battery connection. Now we've connected the negative lead here just to where the body connects to the negative terminal here, and the positive terminal that goes into a distribution box here. So we've just grabbed on the distribution box, put a short lead in there, and we're going to put a fuse in there. Now that's a 50 amp fuse, as they recommend. So we'll connect that up. Right, yeah, so everything's connected to the other end now, so there's no positives touching the body or anything like that, so it's full fine to connect up. Okay, so let's head down the back now and we'll have a look at that. Here's our solar input here, and this is just a 50 amp Anderson, so you can put a variety of panels there. He's intending on putting a couple of panels across the roof, doesn't have that at the moment, but he can plug in the external there. Let's go and have a look at the connections in the back. And here's a finished installation. So at the bottom here you can see we're putting in a couple of Andersons. So Matt wanted the option perhaps of taking it out further down the track or plugging various bits and pieces in. So we put a couple of Andersons in there. And up the top here, if you have a look at the lights here, so status, and we got that tells you it's bulk charging. We got the battery is connected and car is connected. No solar input currently. And down the bottom is your battery selection, calcium, AGM, and lead acid. As you can see, AGM is lit up. That's because it's sensing. We have an AGM battery connected at the moment. So this is a 105 amp hour full river inside the power hub. Matt wanted the portability and the option of perhaps taking out the vehicle for camping. So we've run it with the power hub and it seems to be working all right. It seems to be working really well so far. We just have the battery connected. The vehicle's not on, so we're reading 12.65 volts, probably about 3/4 charge is this battery in here. And I'll get Matt to fire it up in a second. And we'll see if we get any charge into it. It's rated to 25 amps from that little unit there, so we'll see how we go. As far as the connection is concerned, we've got the DC to DC charger outputting into an Anderson that plugs into our power hub here. This is actually a temperature sensor wire. Now, why he wants to connect to the negative, I don't know. I don't think it's going to perhaps get any decent reading off the battery as far as temperature is concerned to stop it from overcharging, but I connected it up. It's certainly not going to do any harm. And this wire is the wire that senses that it's an AGM battery. And as we can see up the top there, as we showed before, the little LED is lit up, and that means the AGM battery has been sensed. So it suits the appropriate charging profile. So I'll get Matt to fire it up in a second, and we'll see on this gauge here whether we're actually getting 25 amps in or not, or whether it's a 15 amp charger being advertised as 25 amp. I'll get Matt to turn on the car now and see if it runs up to the full rated 25 amps. Matt, can you turn on the car, please? Nothing as yet. Might take a few seconds to start pumping through. There we go. Right, so she's rated to 25 amps and I'm getting that at just shy, so it's 24 amps. I'm pretty happy with that, must say. At 14 volts we're getting nearly 24 amps, so it's just about up at rated capacity. And if we see the top of the unit here, there should be 3 flashes coming from that LED there, which I can see, and that's working fine. So we're getting full rated current on a bulk charge, and I'm really happy with the result. Now what we haven't tested, of course, is the solar. So we'll wheel it out, and he hasn't put the permanent solar panels on top, but we have a couple of solar blankets, so we'll still be able to test the MPPT charger in the car itself. Alright, so I'll get back to you in a second once we roll the car out. Okay, so the car's not running, but we've got the solar blanket thrown on top of the car, and I'll get Matt to plug it in. Matt, can you plug in the solar panel? Now it's a 200 watt panel, but we're not going to get anywhere near that out of it today because it's fairly overcast. And hopefully the MPPT charger will start charging up the battery soon. There we go. Starting to run in. So we're getting about 3 amps or so, which is to be expected because it's a little bit overcast out there. Sun's popping in and out. And if we have a look over here, we'll be able to see that our solar LED is lit up. And one great thing about this is the way it's designed is it prioritises the solar. So when you're running and you have solar, let's say you have a permanently mounted solar panel on top of the roof, it will prioritise the charge from that instead of from the vehicle's electrical system, and that'll save you money next time you go to fill up next time at the Bowser. And yep, so we're still running a little bit over 3 amps into our battery, and that's great. So we're actually getting a decent amount of charge coming off the solar. So guys, it seems to be working fine. I can't fault it. It's an Australian design product, but as I said before, unfortunately it's not manufactured here. Otherwise it would be substantially more expensive, no doubt, because of Australian labour costs and whatnot. And I understand because of the situation over in China at the moment, they're having a couple of supply issues. But having said that, I will report back if we have issues further down the track. It seems to be working fine. Would I recommend it? Well, initially the setup is reasonably easy. It's not a hard thing to do. Anyone with a little bit of DIY experience won't have an issue. Seems to be charging to full rated capacity using the engine's electrical system. Seems to be charging our power hub fine. I'd hate to say, but the King seem to have come up with a decent thing here. Honestly, I'm not a big fan of the King stuff, especially like their air compressors, and I've had bad experiences with their winches earlier on and whatnot. But this thing seems to be working fine. But we will report back into the description, the comment section, if he has any further issues with it down the track. It's going to be fairly extensively used. This is just Matt's Falcon work car, and it goes out for weeks at a time when he's out working on site and whatnot, doing whatever he does, which is not a lot, I maintain. But anyway, they're still paying him for it. That's the main thing. So yeah, works fine. Initially, it's good. It's a good thing. We'll see about long-term durability. But at the moment, yeah, guys, seems to be working fine. So if you like this video, don't forget to give it the old thumbs up. And if you didn't, by all means, give it a thumbs down twice. Thanks, guys. We'll see you in the next one. G'day, commers. Welcome back to the book. Actually, Matt's Carport again today. In this video, we're checking out the brand new on the market, smells like China, coronavirus